Hello, nice to meet you. It's Namasuri. Like last time, we will implement an example of applying props. As it is third time, I will finish the implementation of today's book list and book list item to finish this exercise example. First, let's briefly summarize what has been done so far. The components we have implemented now are largely three components. First, we created the app component that is the root and implemented. The app component has an array of book information through the static data books object and delivers the information to the props of the book list item. And in a component called BookList, the information of each book is transferred to the props of the BookList item. So we are implementing that the received data is displayed in the form of a list on the screen using various components of the material UI. While doing this, we are implementing a method of pulling out data from the props that the class-based component has while creating a class-based component, and how to pass the props to a specific component that contains it. Today, at this time, we will supplement the book list item to show the book information in more detail. Now, in the book list, only one book object is being delivered above it, and we will complete the implementation so that the entire list is displayed by converting all the information of the book we have through a loop to a book list item object. Now, let's start from on the actual implementations to be carried out in the future. Now, the first part you need to see is the book list item component that we made it last time. If you look at the book list item component, we have implemented it randomly so that a text box appears on the right of the image on the left using a material UI component called grid. Since I receive only one data, as you can see, I made this so that only the information of the book and the image and the title of the book appear. Now, this part should be made to show the following components, and I will organize the code so that some information about the book can be expressed more by using some more typographic components. So, first, I wrote down the typographic title of the grid item in the book list item. I will add two more typography at the bottom and add two more to put the author's name and the description of the book introduced. So, I will add typography and have book of author, and I will add one more typography which will show book of introduce. After you add it, save it, and you will see there's an author's name and the introduce part in this way. The introduction of this author and the introduction to the book are added. This part will be changed with some modifications, but let's add some typography options. So go back to the coding, and then we will add gutter bottom option for the book author. And then I'm going to change the color of the introduction part, and we will give the option called text secondary. Now you will save it. If you see various options in typography in the Material UI API, detailed explanations are provided there. And if a course related to Material UI is open in the future, it would be good to learn more through that course. Now you can see that the font color and the shape of the author's name have changed slightly. Now, what to do is now that you have received information about a single component and one book list item, we need to configure to repeat a loop so that you can pass the second, the third, and the fourth book and the all data of each minute list item in the book list. So we'll go back to the book list component. Now in the book list, the information about this book will now be delivered to each of the books through a loop. As you can see, I created only one list item individually in the last time. So only one book information is now uploaded. If the list item of this list is repeat assigned, all information about the book received from the app component can be delivered. So you need to modify the contents of this code a little, but there may be several ways to implement this. But first, I make the list item and the book list item repeatedly through the loop, and I will send it as a return statement. What I mean, let's look at the code. I declare a variable called book items with const, and I have now received the books data from the props, and the books are an array, so you can use the map function. When a single book object comes out with the arrow function, it returns through this loop. And when we create and return a list item and a book list item in this, book items will be referenced in an array by creating as many list items as in books. So we are going to put book, and then we will put arrow function, and we will put the curly braces, and we'll put return. It will be contained in this variable. So we are going to put list item, and we're going to put book list item, and book list item will have one prop, which will be the book. So we will get the book prop from this book, and then we will give it as a prop in the book list item. So after having a book items, we are going to remove the list item here and then put the curly braces and put book items instead of list items. Now, if you check the result like this, you can see that all the books are listed. Of course, don't worry about the parts where this text overflows when displayed. First, let's go outside of the argument and we will use this container to match this gap or this part. For now, check that the entire book is uploaded like this. If you check this way, you can see that the book information about the entire book, one book list item, two, and 3 and 4 and 5 items has been uploaded in the form of a list. Then you made all of the book list items and distributed them as a list. After that, we just need to fix the gaps or other things. We just need to use some Material UI to apply styles or some shapes to fix this part. So let's simply use the list component once with the component called container in the Material UI. So I will wrap the list once using a container. So I'm going to import container from Material UI, and then I will wrap it above the book list items and put container. Then after you put the container, we'll give an option called max width with the SM. And after you save it, if you look at it, it will go into the center. Then the display expression has to give a separate property of the container. So if you change the max width to SM and put it in, the books will be in the center. Now it will be elegant in the center, and now you can elegant like this by using the option of the container. After that, when this text actually turns to the right, the size of the image is reduced a little. And if we specify the width and size of the areas that appear between this text, where should we specify this? We have to specify it inside the book items. There are three ways to apply styles to the material UI in the book items component. Well, since we made a class-based component, there will be a chance to create more components called higher order component in the future and explain what is called hog, but there is a way to apply styles there. Now that we've made this component, it's the first time we've been making it, so we will explain it in more detail later. First, I will go to the book list item. First, I will add the code I changed so that it can be a long line in the code. Where to go is this style was not applied, it was uploaded in the form as it is now from the book list item. You can apply styles here. Well, you can simply write like this. But first, you need to import a little. We will import with styles from material UI slash core, and inside the core there's a call styles, and we will import with styles from here and specify const style outside the component. So we will put const styles, and inside the styles you can create a literal object here and give us the style we want to specify. But I'm called an image, and I'm going to reduce the size of the image a bit. So first, set the width to the 128 and the height to 164. The next will be the text area. I'm going to specify text area. Likewise, I will set the width about 390. The style is what we define. Then you have to assign this style to the component. But there are three ways to style the material UI. How to assign to function and components, and when creating the component itself, for example, if it's a button, how to do it was the style of the component itself while making it as a component called my button. And as we showed you now, there are three ways to create and design a component in the form of a suborder component. First, specify the style like this. When exporting default, we can put the width styles and put the styles that we created and put book list item next. This is the style we imported, and here we give the style that we didn't have above as a parameter. And after configuring with the code like this that passes the book item as the second parameter, it doesn't matter if the style is actually not applied. If you apply it like this, I'm adding this part to make this list more sorted and visible. Even if you don't have to, it doesn't matter. Now, if you apply styles using a function called widthStyles like this, you can get this styles object as a prop in the book list item. For example, in props, we use the name of class when giving styles. So if you specify classes, you can get the value of the style called classes from this prop. So after receiving in this way, you can specify the class name to the element that actually applies the style. Now, let's apply the image of the grid item first. So go to the image and we will add class name and put curly braces and we will type classes dot image and this style will be applied if you specify class name equal classes dot image on the image. The size will be modified to an image with width and height like this. Now in typography, I'm going to assign text to the item, but I'm going to assign a text area to the item that contains typography. Similarly, specify class name and put curly braces and put classes same dot text area and save it. If you apply the style like this, the image becomes smaller as you can see and the text area is sized like this. Maybe if you widen this width a little more, it will come down. So if you give me this size of width, you can see that it fits in a center allergen form that fits within the default size of the container that can fit inside the container. You might not understand the style right now, but it doesn't matter if you do it. What we want to explain to you through this example is related to props. It can be confusing because the props called classes is suddenly added right now. It doesn't matter if we look at it in the form that the style was now applied to the first place like this. I'm going to explain one more important thing lastly, which is we've confirmed that the components came out without any problems. There seems to be nothing wrong, but if you open the developer tools here, you can see a floating warning in here. The list is a list of React components. I want to have unique key for each separate item in the list. This is the basic method when React creates a list. So when each of the list item goes up as they are fetched, these list items need their own unique key. Because we didn't specify that key, a warning like this appears. Because when one of a specific item in a specific list changes, we only want to re-render it. React then means that you need a way to find the item, but to do that, you have to give it a unique key value. So in the future, when you spray a list, you need unique key or unique ID for each item. Of course, non-duplicate values must be entered. Still, I will add the part. So how to add is that we are going to a list item through a loop inside the book list. So we will go back to the booklist.js and each item can be a given unique key value. So in the list item, we will type key and we will put the curly braces. In order to give, let's go to the static data book.js. When you look at the file inside here, what kind of key value will this unique key value be? If you see in books, I put a non-redundant ISBN value. So if you give this ISBN value, it becomes a unique key value. So let's go back to book list file and let's put book.isbn as the key value. And if you save it and go back to the web page and reload it, And you can see there is not much difference in the result, but if you see it, the warning disappears when you refresh it. The warning message about the part where the unique key value does not exist disappears. The absence of this doesn't mean we don't have this program working. When expressing a list, it is a requirement that React always requires when expressing a list. So I hope you know the part that you must give each item a unique key value when distributing a list in the future. Now, if you do this, the list example implemented with props is finished. This prop is an important element of class-based components that must be used very frequently in the future. So I will use it again and again. So I don't know for a while now, but I hope you don't get disappointed. In the next lecture, we will look at more important states than props. I will finish this lecture here. Thank you for listening, and I hope it helped you understand the props more. Thank you, and see you next time. Bye.